Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Randi Thompson, sitting in for Sam Shad. Today we'll be talking with Wendy Leonard, who's running for County Commission in Washoe, District 5. Coming up on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Politicians, they hide behind commercials and social media, trying to act tough. A bunch of keyboard cowboys. They talk tough about immigration, but none of them have locked up or deported a single violent criminal. Not one. I've deported thousands. They closed schools, tied the hands of police, and wrecked our economy. I'm Joe Lombardo. I'm running for governor because we can do better. Nevada deserves better. Let's take our state back.
Joe Lombardo for governor.
Liberals Steve Sisolak and Aaron Ford. Socialism out of control. Releasing violent criminals, special interests over our children, and crippling shutdowns on small businesses. It's time for a conservative approach. Republican Tisha Black. A mom who will put our kids first. A self-made businesswoman who will stop government overreach. And Tisha backs the blue. She'll get tough on crime. Tisha Black, the conservative choice for Attorney General.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. Entertainment here at the Carson Valley Inn is extraordinary.
Yeah, super proud of the TJ's Corral, our outdoor venue, about 1,500 seats. We've had first-class entertainment out there. We've had Merle Haggard, we've had Chris Young, we've had Lee Brice a couple times, we've had Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, who's in the Hall of Fame. We're real proud out there, and it's just a great time. Watch CarsonValleyInn.com and grab those tickets early. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And we're back on Nevada Newsmakers with Wendy Leonard. She's a candidate for County Commission District. Which district is it?
It's going to be District 5.
District 5. I wrote that in my notes and I forgot to write that down. So welcome, your first time on Nevada Newsmakers.
It is, and thank you for having me.
You bet. So you're running for County Commission. What motivated you to run for County Commission?
Just as a citizen, seeing that we lacked representation in the district that I lived in, it's not something that I ever followed really closely. Randy, you know, I spent a career in law enforcement, so I've been in and around the county.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, absolutely.
It was the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, right?
Yes, I retired as a lieutenant from the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, and my time in law enforcement was truly a pleasure. I enjoyed almost every minute of everything that I did. I held some fantastic assignments. I worked with the K-9 unit. I was a K-9 handler and instructor. When I worked for the state, I also worked as a weaponless defense instructor, a firearms instructor, and when I retired as a tactical team commander. And what I learned during those times is that it really takes strong leadership to make anything happen. You have to have somebody who can understand every side of the issue. I had no intention of running for a county commission, but when I left the sheriff's office, I went to work for the County Employees Association, and during those 5 years, I saw that District 5 just lacked representation. And instead of being a person that became a keyboard warrior and was on social media complaining about it, I decided, you know, somebody has to step up and do something about it. So that really pushed me to become a little more involved. And about a year and a half ago, I was assigned to sit on the board of the North Valley Citizens Advisory Board. And during that time, it was kind of a startling experience where a developer came in and was telling us that they were putting condos in my community, and I had heard nothing about this, like nothing at all. And I thought, wow, how can citizens know nothing about what's going on in the community? And so I called the developer. I was a little bit perturbed, I guess. I wasn't very nice, I think. And I said, gosh, you know, you're putting your condos in, and I've been corrected, it's townhomes, not condos, but you're putting your townhomes in an area that we've always accessed public lands. And the developer said, well, no, you still have access to public lands. You just go through the condo development, townhome development, and then we've got a little cut-in at the back of the housing area, and you can just get off-road right there. And I thought, wow, that's insane. Do you think that's safe for us to ride our off-road vehicles amongst all of the citizens and you know, of your community? And what about that 3-year-old that's riding their trike? You know, what happens when somebody's in an accident? Well, the HOA is going to come in and they're just going to shut us down. But it's not your fault, Mr. Developer, because you gave us access. And, you know, I think I irritated him a little bit, and he said, well, what is it you want? And I said, what I want is public access. I want full-time permanent public access for us in the front before we ever enter that townhome community.
In a safe manner,
in
truly,
a safe place.
Yeah, so
like,
you're
let's
not
be reasonable.
Impacting the residents, yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And he came back with, but Wendy, we'd have to put a bridge in. There's a drainage there. And I said, so put a bridge in. And they did. They said yes. That just made me go, wait a second, I don't understand. We can just ask you to do things that make our communities safer and give us access to our public lands, and you'll do it? And so I started looking into this a little bit, and I realized that the current commissioner just doesn't interact at all, and that we as community members have lost hundreds of opportunities to get things done within our community when the developments are happening. I can't go back and stop that development, but just by talking to them, I was able to get something done for the community that was a lot safer. You know, we need those accesses. We need to be able to get to our public lands. That's what Northern Nevada is about.
Well, we just had Colin Robertson, who's the new outdoor recreation guy, talking about access to public lands is so critical, especially during COVID. So you guys were able to work with them, and that's kind of inspired you to go, wait a minute, why aren't we doing this more often, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And why aren't our county leaders making these negotiations, sticking up for us?
Absolutely, and the more that I've been involved with that, the more that I've seen that, you know, there are many, many examples of ways that we could have had things, and still even to this day, even a couple of weeks ago, we had an interaction where the community asked for something that is a very, very simple solution, and our current commissioner just refuses to address it.
So the current commissioner is Jean Herman, who I have heard from many others on the commission. She doesn't attend the RTC meetings. Every commissioner has to sit on several committees, RTC, tourism, you know, all these other elements, the Truckee River flood control, and she refuses to go to any of those meetings apparently, and they have to fill her positions with other members of the county commission. So everybody's doing double time because she just doesn't want to participate. And I'm hearing this time and again from so many people. And do you see her out in the community? Do you see her out in District 5?
I see her at some of the citizen advisory boards. I see her at some of the GIDs, but what I see is the response just isn't pertinent to what the topics are. So even if she goes to some of those board meetings, I can tell you that in the last 7.5 years, she's never been assigned to a leadership role on any of the boards that she's sat on, including the county commission, and that's a rotating seat. So to have somebody who can't take a leadership role and who can't respond to a topic with a pertinent response and can't comprehend what the request is, that's a problem for our community.
It is. Well, we're going to continue talking about this right after this.
Thank you.
Politicians, they hide behind commercials and social media, trying to act tough. A bunch of keyboard cowboys. They talk tough about immigration, but none of them have locked up or deported a single violent criminal. Not one. I've deported thousands. They closed schools, tied the hands of police, and wrecked our economy. I'm Joe Lombardo. I'm running for governor because we can do better. Nevada deserves better. Let's take our state back.
Joe Lombardo for governor.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, Go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerauer, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And we're back talking with Wendy Leonard, who's a county commission candidate for District 5. So we talked a little bit about Jean Herman doesn't really attend a lot of meetings. You don't see her except at the normal CAB meetings and stuff. What are some of your concerns about her, I guess, lack of participation in her county commission seat?
Sure. As a citizen, I think that it's imperative to have a commissioner who understands what the questions are or the concerns facing the community and is able to respond to those appropriately and be effective in a leadership role in getting anything done. For example, in January this year, this is a very recent circumstance that it's disturbing to me. We had citizens come from one of the North Valleys and request a very simple solution to a traffic problem where they have regular speeding in the area. We've had vehicle versus pedestrian accidents. It's in front of the high school where kids have been hit by cars. And the citizens asked for something as simple as a radar sign. So the sheriff's office followed up and gave us prices on signs, and we had nothing after that from the commissioner. And so I asked the commissioner about 2 or 3 months later, what have you done to address this issue where the citizens asked for a sign to be placed? And her response was, well, I'm trying to get more law enforcement. It was a response that wasn't even appropriate to the circumstance. And so after that meeting, and that was about a month ago, I made some calls to the county. It took me, a citizen, 2 calls to learn that there were funds available for this project and that it took almost nothing to get it completed. And yet, a week ago at our Citizens Advisory Board, she still had no response to this request. So the biggest issue that I see is when we have a commissioner that fails to respond, even if you show up to meetings when you don't participate, that creates a problem for our citizens that they can't get anything done. I'm hearing over and over again from citizens that no matter what they ask, they just can't get a response, or if they do get a response, it's not appropriate to the question that was asked. We need someone who can get the work done, and that's why I'm running for this seat.
So for those that are in Vegas and don't know much about rural District 5, it is very rural, but it's also probably the most growing of our sectors in town. You've got the North Valleys, Cold Springs and Red Rock, and that's really where a lot of development's going. It's where a lot of industrial's going. You've got huge traffic issues there, and of course traffic can't be settled at the county or the city level. That's NDOT, and trying to get NDOT and the federal government to expand 395 has been an issue for years. But so we know that traffic's a big issue. Lack of retail and lack of restaurants is a big issue in your area. But what are some of the things that you're hearing as you're out walking and talking to voters?
Outside of those issues that you've already addressed, the things that are of concern to the voters are things like the safety of our neighborhoods. I mean, everybody wants to feel safe. But we also want to have clean neighborhoods for our kids. And so what we see on social media quite often are people that will report on social media. They'll report an illegal dump site or an abandoned vehicle in their neighborhood. What we don't have right now is the resources for a regular citizen to get something done quickly when they find those sites. And I'd like to link our government services back to the citizens so that they have a way to actually access those services without jumping through a bunch of hoops, because we should have safe, clean, walkable neighborhoods for our families. That's what we need to see. You know, the traffic issue, you're right, it can't be handled at our level, but I'll tell you this, if we don't have a commissioner who's willing to talk to the state and be that squeaky wheel, it will never be addressed. Right now, we're scheduled to start that highway widening in 2023, but we have to make sure that they keep that on the agenda and that it doesn't get pushed off again.
So looking at county issues, development is probably the biggest thing that you do have control over. What are you seeing in essentially new housing that's coming into your area? Are you now a little more engaged in seeing what, now that you've talked to developers, what kind of development are you seeing out there?
Yeah, so there are a lot of planned developments that have, previous to my becoming involved, have already been approved. What I'm seeing right now is we have a lot of different densities that are coming in that we haven't seen in the past. You know, the North Valleys, they like the rural feel. That's kind of why we moved out there. And so when we're seeing the different densities, it does concern people. The other thing that concerns our citizens, though, is not being able to afford to live. I have 2 adult sons who grew up right here. You know, we raised them right here, and they can't afford to buy a house right now. That concerns me, and many of my neighbors have the same concerns. You know, if their kids can't afford to live here, well, what happens? So I want to see them, you know, have the ability to rent or buy successfully by the time they're 30. But to do that, that means that, you know, there has to be space for them to rent, and we've got to figure out how to get these prices back down. It is almost critical levels right now with our, you know, with our housing, and we just can't continue on that path without the infrastructure to support it, you know, and working with them to ensure that our communities are walkable, safe, clean, and that we have access to public space.
It's just those little simple things, right?
The little things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to continue talking about housing right after this.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Mark Amadei has a listening problem. We told him we were against defunding the police, COVID vaccine mandates, and eliminating fair election safeguards. Obviously, he didn't hear. He never spoke against them. But he did hear the Democrats when they granted benefits and citizenship for illegal immigrants, funded Planned Parenthood, pushed anti-gun measures, and inflationary budgets. When it comes to us, Amadei has selective hearing.
My name is Danny Tarkanian. I'm running for Congress, and I approve this message.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
With Nevada's only transplant center and verified burn center, the science is here. With award-winning cardiologist and the state's only dedicated heart failure clinic, the talent is here. With Nevada's most advanced robotic surgery, the technology is here. And with the Silver State's only designated pediatric trauma center, hope is here. All because we are here. UMC.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And we're back on Nevada Newsmakers with Wendy Leonard, who's candidate for County Commission District 5, which, for those who don't know that, it's the rural areas of Washoe County, the North Valleys. Is Stead in there as well?
It is, and it also encompasses Somerset, Mobile,
that's right.
some of West Reno, the McQueen area.
Okay.
North Valleys, so the north and the west sides of Sun Valley, all of the North Valleys up to the California border, and then we go out east to Wadsworth, the native areas, the Native American areas, all the way up north to Gerlach, Via, all the way up to the Oregon border and back down. I actually was in Via last night meeting with some ranchers up there. What an incredible area and neat experience.
And what a challenging district. That's just huge.
We have the largest geographic district, and I feel it's the largest economically diverse district.
What is the economy? I mean, what are you seeing? You've got obviously Somerset, higher end golf course up to ranches.
Yeah,
so.
Of course, and then we have, we've got our citizens out in Sun Valley who are living in a little bit higher densities that have the concerns. They've got a lot of concerns with illegal dumping and vehicle abandonment. And, the Sheriff's Office works really hard to address those issues when they come up, but it just takes some time. It takes some time to get out there and to get the citizens' voice up to that office can be a little bit of a hurdle, and I'd like to see that just a little easier for them.
And somehow your experience with the Sheriff's Office might be helpful in that department, huh?
I hope it does. I have so much respect for what all of our law enforcement does every single day when they put their lives on the line for us, for the citizens. It's an incredible thing for them to do, and I'm thankful for it every day.
So you've been criticized a little bit as a Republican who worked with the union. Kind of explain your philosophy of that particular union interaction and how as a Republican you can say, but I am pro-union.
I'll tell you the divisiveness in politics today with the Republican versus Democrats, we have to stop that.
Yeah.
It is so counterproductive that it's frustrating. But for the union topic specifically, obviously most of my career, I spent in union jobs, and what I learned through that is that when you have laws that surround the ability to negotiate and unions, but those laws also protect the public. For example, law enforcement doesn't have the right to go on strike, which means we do have the right to negotiate. So there are a lot of protections for the public that unions can provide. But more than anything, what I think is important to me, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, is that when you have employees who have contracts, you have to maintain those contracts. You have to make sure that there is accountability at every level. And those contracts can help hold employees accountable as well as holding management accountable to ensure that they're not doing things like targeting employees.
That makes sense. That is. So your first time you've ever campaigned. How is that? How is that as a newbie? I mean, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. So how is it? How has the campaign process been?
Randy, I had no intention to ever go into a political realm, and the learning curve, it's crazy. It has been really, really hard. I'm literally spending over 10 hours a day just on contacting people and talking to citizens. But you know what I love the most is talking to citizens. I had the best experience last night. I mean, when you drive 4 hours from Reno to the middle of nowhere via Nevada and talking to these ranchers about what their concerns are, I see some things that I'm like, oh my goodness, that's an easy solution. And when you realize that there are things that you can actually impact our citizens in a positive manner, that makes me feel very hopeful. You see a lot on social media that people feel like they have no voice. That is a big push for me, is making sure that our citizens hear about what's going on in the communities before it happens. Historically, we haven't talked about developments until permits were either right before they were issued or already issued. Right. And then our citizens come and they complain, but their voices go unheard because the permits are already issued. So I have to say the county is doing a good job. They've started a program that they're trying to get information out early. They are requiring developers to hold meetings with the community before their plans are submitted or before that process moves forward. And I think that's fantastic. But I also see a lot of area for improvement with that, where they don't want to notify the citizens unless they're within a 750-foot radius.
Well, that's not very big, and everybody's, and you're impacting a lot more,
When you go to these small communities, whether it's Somerset or Mogul or North Valleys, there's one way in and one way out of most of our communities.
Yeah.
Every construction affects every member in our community. I don't care if it's just a home builder or a developer. That affects every single person in those communities, and I want to see that information out there. I've heard a lot of our seniors, Randy, talk about, I can't get on that website, I don't get online, but that's the only way for them to sign up for alerts. Well, that's a failure. If we're not trying to get our information out to our citizens early, we're not doing our job at the county level.
So you've got some specific plans when elected?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. One of my main plans is the communication. You know, everyone talks about that, but I see some ways that we can make it better. I love the idea that the county has, and I think that there's some ways to refine that to where all of our citizens are included, and not just the ones who are the youngest and online.
Yeah.
I don't want our seniors to not have the information that they need to participate in these processes. My biggest plan, though, is being an effective member of the county commission. When right now we have a commissioner who has said over and over that she can't work with other commissioners, I'm not that person, Randy. I am the person that will work with others, and I'll figure out how to, if I'm having struggles, I'll figure out how to communicate with them. That's something that is desperately needed. We can't have this divisiveness, especially at the county level. This is what affects every single person who lives in Washoe County. I don't care if you're in District 1, 2, 3, or 5, 4, or 5.
Yeah.
But our commission affects all of them.
It does. Well, thank you for running. Best of luck in your campaign. We look forward to seeing how the outcome is on June 15th.
Randy, thank you for having me, and thank you for Nevada Newsmakers for hosting this.
You bet. Thank you. We'll be right back after this.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. One of the things I love about the Carson Valley Inn here in beautiful downtown Minden is CV steak. I have eaten here so many times. Tell folks what they can expect when they come here to eat.
It's a beautiful room, great service. We have certified Angus beef, seafood, lamb, a great range of appetizers, and wonderful desserts. Jean-Michel's done a great job of selecting some beautiful wines for us. The customers love it, and we've got a great selection of cocktails as well. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Liberals Steve Sisolak and Aaron Ford. Socialism out of control. Releasing violent criminals, special interests over our children, and crippling shutdowns on small businesses. It's time for a conservative approach. Republican Tisha Black. A mom who will put our kids first. A self-made businesswoman who will stop government overreach. And Tisha backs the blue. She'll get tough on crime. Tisha Black, the conservative choice for Attorney General.
Do you play golf? The Optimist Club of Reno is hosting the inaugural Ray Pezzanella Memorial Charity Golf Tournament on June 3rd at the Lake Course at Red Hawk Golf and Resort. For more information, go to pezgolf.org. Funds raised go to benefit local children's programs.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. You can also check our archive going back to 2005 on our website, again, nevadanewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.